You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from May 18th, 2022. Overall thoughts on this week's Dynamite. I thought this week's Dynamite was a fine show. If I were to compare it to last week's episode of Dynamite, honestly, last week's was so much better, in my opinion, especially near the end of the show. I felt like the end of the show was kind of rushed, to be quite honest with you, but I'll talk about that later on in the show. We got the two Jokers that were a part of the Owen Hart Tournament. The first Joker, that being Johnny Elite. Yes, the former Johnny Mundo, the former John Morrison, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Impact, whatever the hell you want to call him. Johnny Elite is the Joker, as well as Maki Itoh, which I will talk about as well later on this review. We had the Blackpool Combat Club, Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz, and Jericho Appreciation Society segment, which I thought was absolutely freaking phenomenal. But we didn't get Blood and Guts by Will and Regal, which I will talk about. We had Hangman Page taking on Takeshita, which was an absolute barn burner match. I absolutely loved that match. We also had what else did we have? We also had Jeff Hardy versus Adam Cole, which didn't go really long, to be quite honest with you. In fact, the match was less than 10 minutes, to be quite honest with you, which I was disappointed of. And not only that, I wish it was Adam Cole versus Darby Allin, which I talked about last week on the Dynamite review, but I'll talk about that later on this review. We had Serena Deeb coming out, basically, building up to her match against Thunder Rosa. We had a lot of things to talk about right here on the Dynamite review. Usually, Dynamite is pretty good every week, and it was not to say this week was a bad show. I just felt like this week's show was kind of a little off. It didn't flow as fast as usual Dynamites, to be quite honest with you. I'm just telling the God's honest truth. I didn't really feel like the craziness and excitement as I usually do every week on Dynamite. But overall, it was it was a fine episode for what it was. But overall, if you were compared to other episodes of Dynamite, I would have gladly chose other ones. But yeah, before I get on with this review, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the Broken Havoc podcast is now available on audio platforms. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to check out the Broken Havoc podcast on audio platforms, it's available on those listed services or platforms, whatever the hell you want to call it. All right, let's talk about Dynamite. Dynamite started off with Samoa Joe, who is the current Ring of Honor television champion, taking on the Joker. Now, I'm not going to say that this Joker was extremely hyped like Tony Khan would usually hype them, because they were not. But everybody around the wrestling community was wondering who the Joker was. I mean, Tommaso Ciampa even, posted on Instagram that, he was with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae at Epcot, which is in Florida, I believe, and Dynamite was in Houston. So, I mean, everybody thought it was going to be Johnny Gargano being the Joker, which, as much as I would have loved that, at the end of the day, it still wouldn't have made sense anyway, considering the fact that his first match in AEW would be against Samoa Joe, which means that you would run the risk of either having Samoa Joe lose, or you would run the risk of having Johnny Gargano lose in his first match in AEW. So I totally understand why it wasn't Johnny Gargano. Claudio was another one. A lot of people say Claudio would have been coming in as a one-off, and eventually in the future after this match he would have been signed to AEW and eventually also be a part of the Ring of Honor brand. Claudio is definitely a choice as well, but I mean, I would have been fine with Claudio, to be quite honest with you, but none of those were true. And actually, the Joker ended up being Johnny Elite, and everybody thought that. So AEW botched this themselves. So what happened was that when Johnny Elite came out, AEW tweeted, they wanted to tweet, Johnny Elite or Johnny Mundo is the Joker, but instead, by accident, I believe it was the case, they tweeted at Johnny Gargano, was the Joker. So they botched that. But overall, what are my thoughts on Johnny Elite being the Joker? I don't think this is a signing. I think this is just going to be a one-off. And, after Johnny Elite, I definitely thought that, for the women, I thought it was going to be Taya Valkyrie being the Joker, which ended up not happening. It actually ended up being Maki Itoh, which I'll talk about later on the review. But overall, Johnny Elite being the Joker was great. It was definitely unexpected in my opinion, and I enjoyed seeing John Morrison, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Impact, Johnny Mundo, whatever the hell you want to call him, on AEW TV taking on Samoa Joe. So the match starts. Joe goes after Mundo. I'm going to call him Johnny Mundo at this point because it's going to be tough to say Elite. We get a high kick by Mundo. We get a couple of kicks to the knee of Mundo, but a lot of kicks during this entirety of the match. He takes Mundo to the corner. We get a couple of body shots by Joe. Joe goes for a couple of chops. We get a headlock by Mundo. Then we get a back elbow by Joe. Joe goes for a headbutt as well. Then after that, he hits a kick. He takes Mundo down. After that, we get a kick to the side of the jaw of Joe by Johnny Mundo. Then after that, we get a front face lock by Mundo. Joe then fights back. We get a cartwheel clothesline by Mundo, which looked pretty dope. Then Mundo goes to the top. It looked like he hit a tornado off the top on Joe. And then once we go to commercial break, once we're back from break, Joe goes for a furious pounce on Johnny Mundo. Then we got a big boot transitioning into a senton by Samoa Joe. Then Mundo fights back. We get a couple of shots to the back of Mundo. We get a knee and a chop by Joe. We get a cover by Joe and a near fall. Joe then takes Johnny to the top. He wants to go for the muscle buster, but Johnny escapes. Mundo then goes for a Samoan drop. Then after that, he goes to the top and hits a 450, which was botched, by the way. He hits a 450 and it actually landed on his knees. So that looked a little off. We get a cover and a near fall. Mundo then goes for a kick. He tries to go for the Starship Pain, but misses when Joe gets the knees up. And then he takes Mundo to the top and he proceeds to hit the Muscle Buster. And Samoa Joe wins the match and advances to the semifinals of the Owen Hart Tournament. Overall, this is a great match in my opinion. Was it a perfect match? No. I mean, that was a botched 450 spot by Johnny Mundo. But it's great to see Johnny Mundo, even though this is a one-off for Johnny Mundo. It's great to see him in AEW. Not only that, it's Samoa Joe we're talking about. I mean, I definitely did expect Samoa Joe to go over in this scenario. My prediction for the finals is definitely going to be Samoa Joe versus Adam Cole, and that is going to be a freaking banger, and I mean banger, of a match at Double or Nothing. But Samoa Joe is still in the semifinal, is now in the semifinals, and next week we're going to be getting Kyle O'Reilly versus Samoa Joe, which I'm definitely excited about, man. That's going to be an awesome-ass match. So then Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt come in with Satnam Singh, and they basically hit him with a lead pipe. But then the Best Friends and Rocky Romero come in for the save. Then we get Jeff Hardy backstage. They talk about how he is medically cleared after the crazy-ass match that he had with Darby Allin, which, again, I still think that the right decision for that match, the right man did not win. I feel like Darby Allin should have won the match, considering the fact that if Darby Allin had won, it would have at least created that unpredictability nature of a guy like Adam Cole and Darby Allin. I feel like with Jeff Hardy taking on Adam Cole, I definitely do see the predictability right there in Adam Cole definitely getting the win. Nothing against Jeff Hardy. I think Jeff Hardy is freaking awesome. I'm just saying I feel like Darby Allin versus Adam Cole would have been a little more unpredictable. But, overall, what happens after that is the Young Bucks come in and says that Cole is going to kick his ass, all that stuff. Again, continuing to tease a match between the Young Bucks and the Hardys, which I definitely want to see again. I know we've seen it before, but we didn't see it in AEW, so why not? All right, CM Punk is on commentary, and we got the match between Hangman Page, who is the AEW World Champion, that is going to be facing CM Punk next Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday in Las Vegas at Double or Nothing, which I do see CM Punk winning the title. I think that match is going to be absolutely awesome. But he's going to be facing Hangman Page for the AEW World Champion in the main event at Double or Nothing. But tonight, Hangman Page takes on Konosuke Takeshita, which he had one match in AEW, and I believe it was a match against Jay Lethal, correct me if I'm wrong, on Rampage, which was a great match, by the way. I mean, Takeshita was absolutely phenomenal. I believe he is part of the DDT promotion, which I do not follow DDT. I do not follow New Japan as well, but from what I have seen of Takeshita, Takeshita is absolutely phenomenal. And this match that he had with Hangman Page was definitely, a fantastic outing in my opinion. So Takeshita, the match starts. Takeshita goes for a boot. Both fight it out. Hangman goes for a fallaway slam. We get a springboard clothesline taking Takeshita to the outside. Hangman then goes for a crossbody onto the outside. Takeshita then goes to the ring, but then hits a crossbody of his own. Then goes back into the ring. We get a couple of knees by Hangman. Takeshita then gets taken to the apron and tries to go for a springboard, but then Hangman gets taken to the top rope. At this point, both are on the apron. Hangman goes for a chop. Takeshita goes for a forearm. Hangman then goes for a side slam on Takeshita onto the apron, but then Hangman goes to the top and hits a moonsault onto the outside. Once we're back from break, Takeshita then fights back. We get a right hand by Takeshita. Takeshita then goes for a jumping shoulder tackle. We get a blue thunderbomb, and I'm talking about like a beautiful, really nice blue thunderbomb. Like that hit really well. Like that was a great move right there by Takeshita. He had a beautiful blue thunderbomb. Hangman then gets taken to the outside. Takeshita then goes for a senton over the top rope. Then after that, both go back in the ring. He proceeds to hit the haluva kick. Yes, he goes for the haluva kick. But then Hangman fires back with the haluva kick of his own. Then we get a German suplex by Hangman. But then Takeshita fires back with a German suplex. Both then hit a double clothesline on one another. We get a right hand by Hangman. Both exchange shots. Hangman then takes Takeshita and hits a tombstone pile driver. We get a cover and a near fall. Hangman then goes to the ramp. He misses the buckshot lariat. And then we got a rolling German suplex by Takeshita, but Hangman counters into, but Takeshita fires back into a forearm. Then Takeshita hits a powerbomb. We get a cover and a near fall. I believe when he hit that no, it was not a powerbomb. It was a German because I believe he hit a German later on in the match, and it looked like Takeshita actually hurt his neck, but I believe that was a little later in the match. We get a running knee by Takeshita. We get a cover and a near fall. Then we get a German, and then we get a cover. But yeah, this is the point where Takeshita eventually hurt his neck, but he ended up being fine. Hangman then counters the knee. We get a forearm by Takeshita. Takeshita then tries to hit the lariat, but then Hangman counters into a rolling elbow. Then he takes Takeshita to the top. Hangman then goes to the top, but then Takeshita goes for a rolling clothesline, but then Hangman lands on his feet. Then Hangman goes for a rolling clothesline. He proceeds to hit the buckshot lariat, but he is not done. He proceeds to pick up Takeshita and hits the GTS. So it's payback for what CM Punk did last week in his match against John Silver in Long Island, in which in the finish of the match, CM Punk hit the buckshot lariat. So basically Hangman is getting retaliation here, and he is hitting the GTS. And then we get a cover, and Hangman Page wins, in which was an absolutely phenomenal match between him and Takeshita. I mean, Takeshita's absolutely phenomenal. I don't think he's officially signed to AEW, but from what Takeshita has done, for his match on Rampage against Jay Lethal and his match against Hangman Page, I mean, definitely Takeshita is a phenomenal wrestler. He's absolutely really amazing at what he does. But after the match, Punk leaves commentary. He goes to the stage. Hangman goes to the ramp. Both proceed to face off, but then Hangman is on like the outside portion of the ramp, like near the ring, and CM Punk. So they're basically far off. But then they both get closer. Both proceed to face off, but then Hangman eventually leaves. So Hangman's getting that, ruffles right there. He's starting to get pissed off. I mean, again, I like this version of Hangman considering the fact that, a lot of people were saying that Hangman was officially going to turn heel, which I absolutely thought was a dumb idea to begin with. Hangman is not a heel in this scenario. It's going to be a babyface versus babyface match, but Hangman is basically taking no shits from nobody. That's still a babyface in my eyes. You could say that's a heel, whatever, but he's still the babyface, but it's not a WWE scenario, because if this was WWE, I guarantee you, if this was WWE, you would have a Hangman basically smile constantly, and he would literally constantly put over CM Punk. That's what he would do. He'd be like, oh, CM Punk is a living legend, blah, blah, blah. He would do a lot of stuff like that. Don't at me. WWE would have done that if they had done this match, period. But after that, we got Swerve and Keith Lee versus Anthony Henry and JD Drake. Overall thoughts on this match. This was a not that long of a match, really. We all know Swerve and Keith Lee got the win, of course. It was pretty obvious they were going to get the win. Keith Lee and JD Drake start. We get a shot to the chest. Swerve and Henry, we get a couple of kicks by Henry. We get a jumping kick to the face on Henry into the corner. We get a running uppercut by Swerve Strickland. We get an uppercut to the back of the top by Swerve. Then we get a flatliner by Swerve. We get a chop by JD Drake. Lee then makes the tag. Lee goes for the crossbody. Henry's on the top. Lee then goes for a pounce. And then we get the Full Glory, I believe that's what the move is called, which is basically a stomp by Swerve combined with a powerbomb by Keith Lee off the top. And we get a cover, and Swerve and Keith Lee get the win. At this point, Keith Lee gets the microphone, and then we get a bunch of Bask in His Glory chants, which you absolutely love to see. And then he basically cuts a promo and says that he has some wonderful news. Turns out with that victory, the Realist, Swerve, and Keith Lee, they have become a top 5 ranked tag team. And then Starks and Hobbs come out. Basically, Starks judges them. Then Jurassic Express comes out. Cage then proceeds to run them down. Again, Cage is still continuing to sound like a pissed off heel, which I think this is what they're leading to. And then after that, they challenge them to a 3-way match at Double or Nothing for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Also, he has Starks and Swerve versus Jungle Boy next week on Dynamite, which is going to be an awesome-ass match. So, all right, what are my thoughts on this? I remember when I tweeted this out, and I don't have any problem with this match at Double or Nothing, but I asked this question on Twitter, and now we already know who FTR is going to face, but I asked, where the hell is FTR? Because I still think FTR should have been in this match. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, they are the ROH and AAA Tag Team Champions, but they should have been in this match. Why are they not in this match? It makes no sense. But, eventually we found out later on that they were going to be facing Roppongi Vice, because Roppongi Vice is officially back together, and they will be facing Roppongi Vice for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships at Double or Nothing, I believe. But I believe it's at Double or Nothing or Dynamite. Correct me if I'm wrong. But again, I mean, I feel like I still think FTR should have been a part of this match, considering the fact that, they're so hot and they're still so hot. Like, why not put the AEW tag team titles on them? I mean, it makes no sense. But I definitely, because I feel like if there's any tag team out there, and you could say, oh my God, but you complain about makeshift tag teams, but Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland are a makeshift tag team. Yeah, they have history. They have story. They actually were an official tag team together before. But when it comes to FTR, I do think that FTR should have been the guys to take the AEW tag team titles from Jurassic Express, because, again, those guys are absolutely hotter than ever. Why not put the titles on them? But I don't know why they're doing that. We got Starks versus Swerve versus Jungle Boy next week on Dynamite. I think it's going to be a great match. I mean, like, when it comes to, triple threat matches, I mean, remember that one triple threat match we had with Darby Allin, Andrade Alidolo, and who was it? Sammy Guevara? Holy shit, that was an awesome-ass match for the TNT Championship. But I believe it was for the TNT Championship. It was on a Rampage. It was an amazing-ass match. But, again, yeah, I mean, like, I'm excited. But, again, I feel like FTR should have been in this predicament as well, but we didn't get that. We got Chris Statlander and Red Velvet in a backstage interview. Velvet says that things are different. Jade Cargill proceeds to come in and says that she has a real leader. We got the MJF and Wardlow 10 lashes. So MJF grabs the microphone and says that, unfortunately, he is no longer in Long Island, and he is in Houston, Texas, which I loved that from MJF. We get a bunch of asshole chants by the crowd. It says that if Wardlow retaliates, he can't get the match at Double or Nothing. Wardlow then comes in with handcuffs and all the security guards. So he comes in, and, I had a fear that this was going to be really similar to the Cody lashes, because if you guys don't remember, Wardlow's basically going through a similar predicament, because Cody Rhodes went through a similar, process a couple years ago, and the lashes that Cody took were absolutely painful to watch, and those were really slow, too. Like, all 10 lashes went by madly slow. But Wardlow comes in. MJF spits the gum into the face of Wardlow. And at this point, Wardlow no-sells the first whip. And then he no-sells the second whip. MJF then gets pissed. Then MJF goes for repeated whips by the belt. And then he goes up to number 7. But Wardlow still no-sells the whips. Which was, I mean, I don't know how you can no-sell that. Like, I don't know how you can no-sell that. Spears then gets the belt. He hits 8 and then 9. And then at this point, once he hit the ninth whip, Wardlow eventually felt the pain. And then MJF gets the belt. He proceeds to hit a low blow and then goes for the final lash. Then both proceed to attack Wardlow, who is handcuffed. Then after that, what happens? He hits him with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. And then Spears hits the Death Valley Driver. Of course, Wardlow, after going through this process with the 10 lashes, now he's going to go to Dynamite next week to face Wardlow inside of a steel cage, and MJF is going to be the special guest referee. So there's going to be a lot of, fuckery going around next week on Dynamite when it comes to Wardlow and MJF and Shawn Spears. But I'm definitely really excited. We're definitely going to be getting the match regardless with MJF and Wardlow. We'll just have to wait and see where this goes later on. Roppongi Vice at this point is back together. Of course, that is Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero. They want the Ring of Honor, IWGP, and AEW Tag Team Championships. And FTR, they basically challenge FTR for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. Now, when it comes to that, I believe it's at Double or Nothing. I don't recall when this is going to happen, but I believe it's going to happen at Double or Nothing. If I'm wrong, I'll literally come on here and be like, I was wrong. It's going to be on a Dynamite. But overall, FTR versus Roppongi Vice for the ROH Tag Team Championships. Sign me up. That'd be a great-ass match. Here's one match that was absolutely amazing, and this is by far the best match of the entire night. Rey Fenix versus Kyle O'Reilly. Of course, this is the quarterfinals of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Overall, this was an absolutely barn burner of a match. I loved every second of this match. Rey Fenix and Kyle O'Reilly absolutely destroyed each other. They basically did not give up. They both couldn't back down. They didn't back down from one another. This match was absolutely insane. And, of course, Kyle O'Reilly got the win. And next week on Dynamite, we are going to be getting Kyle O'Reilly versus Samoa Joe in the semifinals, which we all know Samoa Joe is going to win. But let's be straight up right now. Samoa Joe and Kyle O'Reilly are going to tear the fucking house down next week, which is going to be awesome. But we get a takedown by Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly goes for the side headlock, then goes for the shoulder tackle. Then Kyle goes for a kick. We get a sunset flip by Fenix, but then gets caught into a cross arm breaker by Kyle O'Reilly. We get a roll-up by Fenix, but then we get a one count. He goes for multiple roll-ups. We get a kick to the arm of Fenix. Then we get a chop by Fenix, and then we get a forearm and a kick by Kyle O'Reilly. Fenix then goes for a kick into the corner. He goes to the top. Fenix then goes for a springboard into Gary, taking Kyle O'Reilly down. We get a suicide dive senton by Fenix onto the outside. He goes to the top, and he tries to hit a frog splash, but then lands into an arm breaker. Then Fenix escapes to the outside, but then we get a kick to the knee of Fenix. He sends Fenix to the post. Once we're back from commercial break, both exchange shots. We get a couple of knees and slaps by Kyle O'Reilly. Fenix then sells his arm. Then we get a chop by Fenix. Fenix then gets taken down to the ramp. Then we get a kick by Fenix. We get a springboard kick to the face of Kyle by Rey Fenix. Fenix then plants him to the mat with a modified powerbomb. Then we get a rolling Hurricane Rana by Fenix after that, which looked absolutely amazing. Then we get a cover and a near fall, or a roll-up, I should say, and a near fall. We get a pump-up kick by Kyle O'Reilly. We get a couple of combination shots by Kyle. Then we get a kick by O'Reilly with a double underhook butterfly suplex. Then after that, Fenix goes for a couple of chops and kicks into the corner. We get a springboard spinning kick by Kyle O'Reilly. He goes for Phoenix goes for a half and half suplex after that. We get a spinning kick by Phoenix, but then Kyle O'Reilly fires back with a lariat. Then we get a couple of kick exchanges by both. Then they both exchange slaps. Then after that, we get a couple of overhead chops and elbows by Rey Fenix. Kyle O'Reilly then applies the transition, a guillotine. He applies the guillotine, and then he basically transitions into a double wrist lock. Then Phoenix goes for an enziguri. Kyle O'Reilly then fights back, and then Phoenix goes for a thrust kick, but Phoenix at this point is still not down. Phoenix then walks to the top rope and hits a beautiful Hurricane Run onto the outside. He tries to go for the cutter. So basically what happens is he tried to go for the springboard cutter, but then Kyle O'Reilly catches him and he applies a submission. It looked like it was a chokehold. And what happens, he catches him and Kyle O'Reilly makes Phoenix, or I think it was either Phoenix tapped out or he, I didn't even put that in mind. So I believe he passed out, but then basically Kyle O'Reilly won the match. Overall thoughts on this match. Again, this was by far the best match of the entire night, in my opinion. This was absolutely, like, this and the Takeshita match were both really great. Those were the two best matches of the night. Everything else, not really so much. But overall, Kyle O'Reilly advances, and I'm definitely excited to see Samoa Joe versus Kyle O'Reilly next week. We get the Blackpool Combat Club and Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz and the Jericho Appreciation Society. Those damn sports entertainers face-to-face. Overall, this was a great segment. Now, my only disappointment when it comes to this segment is we didn't get William Regal to Blood and Guts. And I know Blood and Guts, it's its own, like, show, like, special on Dynamite. But let's be real here. If Blood and Guts was on Double or Nothing, if it was on the Double or Nothing card, holy shit, bro. That would make Double or Nothing stacked now. Granted. If you had Blood and Guts, there's pros and cons having a Blood and Guts match at Double or Nothing. Number one, it can take the fire away from other matches, which I definitely do see that being the case. But also, one of the pros is that you're making the show more stacked, But I mean, again, I mean, we didn't get a Blood and Guts by William Regal, but we'll see where this leads to. But overall, this segment was absolutely fantastic. So the crowd sings Judas, but of course, the JAS turns off the music. Jericho talks about how he was being attacked last week, and he started thinking, who could put together this violent attack? The attack was set up by his old friend, William Regal. And he proceeds to talk about William Regal. It's been a while, and he talked about how he thought he would be dead by now, which was a really crazy, nasty line to say. It's amazing after all the abuse he put himself through that his brain still works. He talks about how he had wasted potential with all his skills and character. Then he could have been one of the greatest of all time, and he should have been a world-class champion, but he ended up being a world-class addict. He's been fired from every company until he weaseled himself into AEW and the cocktails of his proteges, that being Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. What a collection. And he runs down all the baby faces right there. So he runs down Santana and Ortiz, talks about how they were too stupid to realize that everything that they have was because of Chris Jericho. And he runs down Eddie Kingston because he was too stupid to stay home after he burned his face and he didn't care. He basically didn't take care of his family. And he again mentioned that line of his girlfriend, hey, she should give me a call. That's what basically Jericho stated, which was absolutely savagery. And he runs down Bryan Danielson and he talks about how he was possibly the greatest wrestler in the world today, yet nothing more than a squeaky clean nerd. He had never had a drink or a drug, and he keeps staying with Regal until he drinks him up and goes to rehab like Moxley. Holy shit. And then he gives advice to Regal. He tells him to go home, and if he doesn't, he will throw a fireball at him. Why? Because he is a wizard. Or he will take a piss on his tea again, which was a nice throwback. Regal then grabs the microphone and says that since 1997, he had to listen to him with that whining, pathetic voice of his. And he may be right, but there's one thing that has kept him going, and that every single time he was on a show with him, he wasn't wrestling with him. Whenever he was wrestling, he would go to his locker room and he would take out a bag with his toothbrush, and stick it up his bottom, which I believe. And then after that, Garcia gets pissed off, so he proceeds to run down Regal, but then Regal fires back and says, actually, I did that same thing to you, Garcia. And then Garcia has a like shocked look on his face, which is hilarious. Then after that, Jericho says that he knows what they want. Double or Nothing, they want to fight. So what happens? Jericho basically, what happens is Jericho is like, oh yeah, we're gonna do one match that is synonymous with Double or Nothing. Stadium Stampede, 5-on-5, us 5 versus you 5, Stadium Stampede. But then immediately, Jon Moxley completely shot that down. He's like, nope, I'm not doing that bullshit, which was hilarious. I was like, wait, as soon as Jericho stated Stadium Stampede, I was like, are they really doing Stadium Stampede? But thankfully, when Moxley says, nope, we're not doing that shit, I was like, okay, there's hope. But then Kingston wants to fight. So what happens is Moxley says that they want to do anything goes 5-on-5 match. I definitely thought that we were going to get a blood and guts match announced, but we did not. But Kingston wants to fight after that, and then the JAS retreat. Kingston wants to follow them, but then Danielson says no. And then at this point, both push each other, and then William Regal's trying to separate the both of them. So again, there's some little tension going on between both Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston. So we're going to have to see where this goes in the future. I mean, I'm definitely curious to see what the match is going to be for Double or Nothing. I want the match to be blood and guts. And it would be amazing if the match happened at Double or Nothing, but we'll have to wait and see in the near future. And even if they did announce a blood and guts match for, next week, next week is the go home Dynamite for Double or Nothing. I mean, it would be weird, but again, they were building to this for for how many months now? So, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but still, I mean, I feel like, we should have got, some official, match announcement, but we did not, but we're going to have to wait until next week on Dynamite, or we're possibly going to have to, we're definitely going to wait next week on Dynamite. Let's be real. We got Britt Baker versus the Joker in a quarterfinal match for the Owen Hart Tournament. A match that did not last long whatsoever, but the Joker is Maki Itoh, in which I don't want to be that type of guy because I didn't hype up the Joker like crazy, especially when it came to the women's side of things. But Maki Itoh, I mean, nothing against Maki Itoh, but I'm not really that big of a fan of Maki Itoh. That is just me. No disrespect. No disrespect to Maki Itoh. That is just me, period. But the match starts. I mean, to me, it was just not a big deal. That's just my opinion. I felt like it wasn't a big deal. Like, the whole Maki Itoh thing, it just did not feel like a big deal to me. The match starts. Maki lays down, but then Maki goes for the cradle. We get a near fall. At this point, Maki is crying. She stomps on the floor of Britt Baker. She proceeds to flip her off. We get a roll up by Maki Itoh. We get a sling blade by Britt Baker. We get a cover into near fall. Once we're back from break, Britt goes for the suplex. We get a cover into near fall, and then we get a suplex by Maki Itoh. Britt then goes for the stomp to her head. Then she gets the glove. Britt then takes Itoh to the corner turnbuckle head first. Maki, so there's a camera on the corner post, right? And the camera is showing Maki Itoh's face, and she has this crazy look on her face. Like, she's just going crazy on her own for no reason. And then Maki proceeds to gain offense. Maki then goes for the Tornado DDT. We get a cover into near fall. Maki then drops on Britt Baker. We get a cover into near fall again. She proceeds to apply the lockjaw, but then Britt advances. So Toni Storm, it's going to be Toni Storm versus Britt Baker in the semifinals. I don't know when that's going to happen. I believe it's going to be happening next week. But overall, I think it's going to be a great match. I mean, I definitely do see that match being a great match. But we'll have to wait and see. Britt Baker versus Maki Itoh was a short match, but I mean, having Maki Itoh be a Joker, I mean, like, again, nothing against Maki Itoh. I'm just saying, I just didn't get the seriousness or nothing. I don't want to be that type of guy. I don't want to be a piece of shit, but like, I mean, I don't want to be a dick about it, but like, I mean, of all people, Maki Itoh, that's just me. Get mad at me, Marks. I don't care what anybody says. All right. Tony Schiavone is in the ring, and he talks about how Double or Nothing is going to be the anniversary of AEW, and they're finally going to be returning to Las Vegas. But what happens? Serena Deeb comes out and says that she is sick of hearing him talk. She's pissed off of what he said last week, that she couldn't beat Thunder Rosa. We get a bunch of Thunder Rosa chants, and she talks about how Dustin Rhodes, said that, is an idiot for, basically saying that, Deeb basically can't beat, Thunder Rosa and all that stuff. So she basically goes on a rant, which I loved the promo that Serena Deeb cut, but it came out of nowhere. So basically what happens is that she continued to run down. She talks about her whole history in the wrestling industry, talks about how she constantly keeps on being mistreated, and how she talks about how Vince McMahon, now she didn't name drop, I believe, Vince McMahon, but she basically called him an old pervert, I believe. And she talks about how, she got no respect. She shaved her head. Of course, that's a mention to the straight edge society, but, she still got no respect. And then, Dustin Rhodes comes in and she asks him why he said that he couldn't beat Thunder Rosa. And then we got no answer by Dustin Rhodes and says that he doesn't have the... So basically, she tells Dustin Rhodes that she does not have the balls to. And says that when she beats Thunder Rosa, he will respect her. And then Thunder Rosa comes out, but then Dustin Rhodes holds Thunder Rosa up because Thunder Rosa wants to go after Serena Deeb. And, so where does this lead to? Honestly, we're getting the match between Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb, which I do think is going to be a fantastic match, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a great match. I think it's going to be one of the best matches of the entire year, in my opinion. And I feel like this is the match that Thunder Rosa really needs because her title reign started off really rocky. Let's be 100% real here. Her title reign started off really rocky, and her first opponent was Nyla Rose of all people, which nothing against Nyla Rose, but it's a common trend with the AEW Women's title. Almost starting with Hikaru Shida and then Britt Baker and now Thunder Rosa, each of them, their first opponent was Nyla Rose, which to me makes absolutely no sense. But overall, at least it gives this match somewhat of an importance because really, there really hasn't been a lot of build for this match, to be quite honest with you. Granted, AEW only has 3 hours of TV, but still, there's not really that much build for this match. We got Jeff Hardy versus Adam Cole in a semifinal match for the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Again, I wish it was Darby Allin versus Adam Cole, considering the fact that with Adam Cole versus Jeff Hardy, I feel like Adam Cole, I mean, it's pretty obvious that Adam Cole's going to go over, which is fine. Again, nothing against Jeff Hardy, but I feel like Darby Allin versus Adam Cole would have been much more unpredictable, in my opinion. But Cole attacks him before the match even starts. So this match went on quick. I believe it started at like 7:52, which, I mean, not 7:52, 9:52, which, I mean, they were trying to, I feel like near the end of the show, they were trying to rush a lot of things. And that's what a lot of people were criticizing them on. And honestly, I absolutely agree. They were trying to cram. And this is one of the problems that I have with Dynamite every week. As much as I love and put over Dynamite almost every freaking week, one of my biggest issues with Dynamite constantly is the fact that they constantly try. And I get it. They have through only 3 hours of television. I totally understand. But again, they try to cram in too much stuff all at once. And sometimes and most of the time, you can't really do that. Let's be 100% real here. But Cole attacks him before the match even starts, and at this point the match starts. Jeff goes for a splash onto the outside. He takes him back into the ring. Both are back in the ring. Cole then sends Jeff to the steel steps. Cole then goes for an immediate backstabber once we're back from commercial break, which basically at this point it's like 7:55 and we go to commercial break. Cole is in control. Jeff fights back. Jeff goes for, he basically drops on Cole. We get a cover and a near fall. Both exchange shots. We get a knee by Cole. We get a spinning kick by Jeff. Cole then goes for the enziguri, and then Jeff goes for the front suplex. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a back elbow by Jeff Hardy. Then Jeff goes to the top and he hits a senton off the top, but then Cole proceeds to hit a super kick. Then after that, which, by the way, I believe it was a missed super kick, if I might add. Cole then tries to go for the boom, but misses. Jeff then hits the twist of fate, and then he goes for a second twist of fate. Then after that, after he goes for the second twist of fate, Jeff goes to the top. He tries to hit the Swanton Bomb, but eventually it misses. Cole then catches him with the boom, and then he gets the win. So Cole advances to the finals of the Owen Hart Cup tournament, and it's going to be either against Samoa Joe or Kyle O'Reilly. As much as I would love to see Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole again, let's be 100% real, I see it being Samoa Joe. Let's be honest with each other right now. But after that, the Bucks come in from behind, and they set up a super kick, but the Hardys see it. But then Cole takes them both out from behind. Then the Bucks hit the BTE trigger on Matt Hardy. Sting and Darby come in for the save, but then Red Dragon comes in, so the entire Undisputed Elite is ganging up on Sting and Darby Allin and the Hardys. Red Dragon hits the high-low on Darby onto the ramp. Sting then fights off Adam Cole. Kyle comes in with the chair, but then Sting hits Kyle O'Reilly with the chair of his own. Then the Bucks hit a super kick on Sting, but then Cole sets up a chair on Sting's leg. Kyle hits the knee, and the Undisputed Elite stand tall, and the show ends. Overall thoughts on this this whole show of Dynamite. I thought Dynamite was a fine show. But again, when it comes to Dynamite, one of my favorite things about Dynamite almost every week is that the show flows really well. And that's what I love about Dynamite. But I feel like this week's show did not really flow as well as other weeks, to be quite honest with you. And especially near the end. I feel like the second hour kind of, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really feel, especially near the end, I feel like they try to cram in too much stuff. I mean, like they had the match with, let me go back to my notes. So they had Maki Itoh versus Britt Baker, which did not last long at all. And then they had the whole Serena Deeb angle. And then they had Jeff Hardy versus Adam Cole. They basically crammed all of that stuff all in at once, especially near the end, which is not really good at all. But overall, was this an amazing episode of Dynamite? No, it was not. In fact, it was not really one of the best episodes of Dynamite, in my opinion. But I don't want to say it was terrible, but if you were to compare it to last week's show, I definitely, last week's episode of Dynamite from Long Island was so much better, considering the fact that, number one, it flowed really well, and number two, it was just a damn near perfect show. But overall, it was a fine episode of Dynamite. Not the best episode of Dynamite, but it is what it is. We're going to have to see in the near future. I feel like next week is definitely going to be a huge episode of Dynamite, considering the fact that next week it's going to be the go-home show for Double or Nothing, and AEW is finally going to be back in Las Vegas. So I'm definitely excited for that. But yeah, that was my AEW Dynamite review from May 18th, 2022. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast. And as always, it is Broken Havoc, signing out.